Hi, it's time for Street Talk, your voice and your views on the issues in the news. A battle against child abuse in the Aboriginal communities in Australia has led to some strong measures proposed by the government. A plan to ban alcohol and pornography in Aboriginal neighbourhoods is proposed, which Prime Minister John Howard hopes will address a report stating that alcoholism, unemployment and poverty are worsening the economic and social situation, particularly in Australia's Northern Territory. Mr. Howard also plans on controlling welfare benefits to Aborigines by requiring that half of the money they receive is to be spent on food and children's education. Aboriginal leaders say this is discriminating and will make the situation worse. But despite questions of personal freedoms, Wendy in the US supports John Howard's plans. A recent study estimated that 80% of children in Aboriginal communities had been sexually abused. I think this measure is more than fair. The alternative would be to remove their children from them and place them in state-sponsored foster homes. Ahmed in South Africa says it might be a fairer plan if it's more wide-reaching. Why stop only at the Aborigines? Surely it should be for the whole of Australia as well. What's good for the goose should be good for the gander. That view from Ahmed is shared by Joan, who contacted us from the USA. I would feel more comfortable if the ban on alcohol and pornography were more generalized, not targeted to a specific population. This is blatant racism. There has to be other ways to combat the child sex abuse crisis, such as more arrests and education. Now, whatever happened to traditional weddings? Well, for those heading to America's City of Lights, Las Vegas, traditional is the furthest thing from the mind. One popular way for those Trekkies to get their nuptials said is aboard the Star Trek Enterprise, or at least to have it officiated by someone dressed like Captain Kirk. For ye old souls, a medieval wedding might seem more appropriate, pronouncing you Lord and Lady. Elvis fans can choose between a younger, slimmer version of the king or one that has a little more around the waist to serenade you. And finally, for those of you in a rush, your best bet is to stick to the drive-through wedding, where you don't even have to leave your vehicle to say, I do. No doubt you could order fries to go with that. But when we asked you how you might get creative in tying the knot, well, let's see. Lamise in London would get a sugar rush as little people serenaded the event. My Las Vegas wedding would have a Charlie and the Chocolate Factory theme. I'd have Oompa Loompas singing me down the aisle as Willy Wonka led the ceremony. Then everyone would eat candy, giving a new meaning to sweetheart. Ted in the US must have been a fan of the Godfather movies. A mob wedding would be my choice. Just have a bunch of guys dressed in black suits and white ties standing around as everyone ate spaghetti. As long as there are no concrete boots and a dip in the river for your unwelcome guest, Ted. Mohammed in New Zealand doesn't approve of such quickie ceremonies. I wouldn't choose any crazy theme for a wedding because getting married is serious stuff. Plus, I wouldn't get married in Las Vegas anyway. Well, that's the beauty of freedom of choice, Mohammed. You don't have to if you don't want to. A baby boom is taking place in Mexico City's Chapultepec Zoo, with over 200 animals born in 2007 alone. Since January, 32 animals of rare species were born there, including 4 endangered Mexican wolves. Great achievement considering there are only about 300 of them remaining. At times, the veterinarians have been forced to hand-rear the animals after their mothers rejected them, which is what happened to 2 baby leopards, and zoo officials are desperately hoping they'll survive. 3 flamingos, a bighorn sheep and a spider monkey are also among the new additions to the growing zoo family. Unhappy with your commute? I know from personal experience living in London that trains can get pretty squashed. Well, I can only sympathise with those using the Tokyo subway, where train packing is an art form. Humans become sardines, as demonstrated by this homemade video that someone's posted online. Take a deep breath and become a human sardine, a tin full of people. That's it until next time. Do keep sending in your questions and comments and point us to anything interesting or amusing for Street Talk. Remember, what you see here isn't necessarily the view of Al Jazeera, and some of the content's been edited, but for time and space reasons only. And that's the talk on the street.